Hi guys, this is Vitaly with AFT Dispatch and A2C Logistics, and today's video is going to be a little bit different than what you may be used to hearing from us on a weekly basis. Guys, the reason for that is because I've had the immense pleasure of speaking with Tony from Trucking Topics today. It's a quite popular YouTube channel, and basically Tony, and I'll link him in the description box below and some of the other areas on this channel. Definitely make sure you subscribe to his channel. He is a well of information, especially for new guys who are starting out in the trucking industry. Highly recommend subscribing to his channel. Now, guys, Tony is something else. So he's been in the trucking industry since 2005. He's ran all sorts of equipment from vans and reefers to, tankers, both liquid and dry bulk. He's ran singles, doubles. He's even driven in the entertainment industry. This is definitely a special type of trucking there. He's got well over 1.25 million safe miles, accident-free miles. He's worked for big and small companies out there. He's been a company driver. He's been a leased-on owner-operator with a lease-on outfit out there. And finally, he's also ran under his own MC authority as a carrier. And in addition to all of the above, he's also been a CDL instructor and now does what they call mock DOT audits. Those of you guys are not familiar, when you open up your own MC authority, the DOT does a new entrant audit. So he helps with those as well as additional audits and other things that the DOT may present. And just basically what Tony does is he teaches and trains, he mentors and coaches people, new owner ops, new carriers that are out there. Just generally speaking, very knowledgeable and experienced. So kind of gives you an idea who we're talking about here. So I had a phone conversation with him. He was turned up to us by one of his clients. And what I did is the conversation was so good that I asked Tony, I was like, listen, this is going to be so useful. Would it be okay if I posted this as kind of a video on our channel to help some of the guys, some of our subscribers that are out there? And fortunately, he agreed. And I'm hoping to do some collabs with him in the future. And I'm hoping to have more conversations with him and really present more information on both his channel as well as our channel. So I wanted to kind of present him to you guys. The phone call, it was a long conversation, so I've cut it down. You probably won't even notice the cuts and splices, but I've cut down the conversation so that it's a bit shorter and that you guys can really get to the meat and potatoes of this. And I promise you that, whether you're a carrier, a company driver, an owner operator, whatever the situation may be, you guys are going to learn something and take away something from this video. It is going to be a bit longer, but I promise you, listen to it to the very end. You're going to be glad that you did. You're going to learn something. And without further ado, I'm going to switch over. We're going to talk about that. And one other comment, I've had to normalize the audio because unfortunately on Tony's end, the voice quality was a little bit quiet, so I had to normalize it and when I was cutting up the audio, and so sometimes you may notice that it's a little louder or quiet, but generally speaking, the majority of the call is going to be quite clear. So guys, enjoy. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to subscribe to Tony's channel. And I'm hoping that Tony and I will be able to do some collabs and work and help the trucking industry, all the guys in the community out there. Thanks for your time, guys. I'm going to switch over to camera and we'll talk in a moment.
Hi, Tony. This is Vitaly with AFT Dispatch. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fine, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Is this an okay time to talk? I thought I'd just give you a shout, give you a shot. Yeah. How are things?
Yeah, things are good, man. I'm glad you called me back. I am.
Cool.
I was made aware of you and your YouTube channel by a client that I'm working with right now. He emailed me and he asked me if I knew anything about your company, but I said no. I'll check it out though. I liked the way you came across in your video. The rates, of course, were good. I understand that, those are probably the best rates you're getting or whatever, but it sounds like you're keeping your guys moving.
Give me 1 second. Let me just switch my headset over. This one is going to be really noisy, so let me switch to another one. Give me 30 seconds.
Okay.
1 second.
Okay. So I'd like to know, so how do you run your business? I mean, do they have to sign a contract with you? How much authority, agent do you need, and so forth? And then what is your fee for each load, or tell me about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, like I said, all good questions. So as far as authority, we used to require 90 days, but as you know, a lot of brokers are under the gun right now. A lot of pressure is put on them. So we can work with people as early as 30 days on their MC.
Okay.
Obviously, they're not going to make as much as some of the more, aged guys, longer terms, et cetera, in the industry. But we can still get them to make some really decent money, to be honest. I mean, a lot of our guys that are new, they're even brand new. They're making, well, by brand new, I'm saying at least 30 days. They're making, 9 to 11,000 a week. So there's still a lot of money to be made. And we still can do that, and we can get them set up with all sorts of different companies. And we don't just work with brokers. We work with 3PLs, freight forwarders, direct shippers, et cetera, et cetera. We have been around for 10 years now. I got 4 offices in the country. We have a lot of dispatchers, and we do things very differently. As far as contracts, like you brought up, that's one thing that we do differently. There is an agreement, but it's mainly paperwork that we need to be able to collect in order to work with brokers and, all the mentioned organizations. So we have a power of attorney, et cetera, to be able to fill out paperwork and just work on their behalf. But in terms of terms, we don't have anything like that. So we are very open. There is no minimum amount of time that they have to work with us. There's nothing like that. And there's also no forced loads. There are no weekly minimums. We're very, very open, very transparent in the way that we do business. So, for example, we do something that I feel like every company should have been doing a long time ago. So, for example, when we send a rate con back to the broker, we simply CC the carrier or the owner up on it. So they receive the same thing the broker does. A lot of companies, and we actually made a video about that, where we kind of explained how a lot of companies, they present themselves as dispatch, but they're not. What they are actually carriers. And what they're doing are they're booking loads under their MC, they're factoring those loads under their MC, and the carrier, unfortunately, doesn't even know the true cost of the load. They might agree on something that's a lower rate. The broker submits the paperwork. They charge them for factoring. They charge them their fee, whatever it may be. Ours is 7%. And they also, basically skim off the top because they ultimately don't know what the true cost is. And since they're submitting the paperwork and it's their receivable, they're, in full right, even though it's illegal, to do that.
Okay, that makes sense. One question I have is, do you have any power-only movements, or do they need their own trailer all the time?
So we prefer that they have their own equipment, but we have started recently working with power only. We've done quite well. I have guys done 13 to 14,000 with power only, but in those cases they kind of got lucky with some towaways, and so they were able to kind of raise their rate. Generally, power only does make less money.
Sure.
There is more headache, a bit more deadhead, bobtailing, things like that involved. But
Right.
To be honest with you, we've stayed away. In fact, I've even made a video about it about a year ago saying to stay away from power only, and we have stayed away, and we didn't take customers. But I've had a really good prospects who really wanted to work with us, but they just couldn't find a trailer to buy or rent. And so I had one particular gentleman. Yes, and that's the issue. And so that's the reason why we just flipped, switched gears, and we said, listen, some of the best guys that are willing to stay OTR, they're willing to go to pretty much any state, open market, et cetera, and they're willing to be kind of coachable, teachable, willing to listen to dispatch. We're going to help them then. And that's what we did.
Because most of my guys are starting out on a shoestring budget, which I don't recommend.
Absolutely.
But they want to get into the business, right? And if truth be told, I was a tad bit more than a shoestring budget, but I should have had a little bit more in the bank when I started.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
You get to that point and you find the truck and you just want to do it right. But man, trailers are just any equipment right now, and the equipment that people are finding are inflated, just because of the way things are right now. So I would have to say that 8 out of 10 of the people I work with do not have a trailer. Now, do you do any box truck loads?
We don't. So we don't work with any hot shots, LTL, sprinters, or any of that kind of stuff. So we only work with full-size semis. Okay.
And then what about payment to the owner?
So payment goes directly to the owner. So the broker pays the owner. We don't get involved with their finances whatsoever. So they can do multiple different things. So they can, wait net 30, which is generally net 45, net 60, whatever it may be. They can factor. They can use quick pays, whatever they want. If they factor, so whether they factor or not, we're okay with that, and we'll still run credit checks through, some of the larger companies. So we'll usually run things through like RTS or Compass or somebody like that, just to get a general idea, even though it doesn't really mean anything if they're not factoring. But it gives us a pretty good idea if we're working with a decent broker or not. And so So we do that. If they do factor, then we of course take care of their billing and invoicing. We do the same if they don't factor. However, when they don't factor, we put everything together and we send them the entire packet of rate-con, invoice, and BOL to them, and they submit it for themselves. Why do it this way is because some carriers would prefer to use a quick pay, and we don't want to be responsible for a quick pay that they may feel is too expensive, because some brokers, as you know, they'll charge upwards of 6% for a quick pay, which is highway robbery. So
sure, I certainly don't want my guys going through it in their first 3 or 6 months.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So what we do is we actually one of the cool things that we do is, and this is generally for carriers who have their own MC authority, because we have our own MC that we lease under, which is our second arm out in Chicago. What we do is we're able to. Basically, we have direct connections with the brokers, with the agents directly, and we do a lot of business with them. So we'll contact them and say, listen, do me a favor, will you? We got this new guy. He's a great guy. You know, he does a really good job, but his MC is only, say 60 days, and I know you guys need 6 months or a year. You do this one favor for me, make an exception. They do an exception and put them in a database, and then we can work with some of the biggest guys. Like our Rival Logistics is a really good one. You can get a lot of good freight, very good pricing, but you have to wait a year till you get started with them. And we've been able to get these guys to make exceptions. Or a lot of times what they'll do is they'll lock the load under RMC. Now, we don't give the load out to the customer under RMC because that goes against everything that we've talked about on our videos.
Sure.
What we do is we lock it away so that no one else can take it, get the exception, get them set up with a broker, and then have the broker transfer the deal onto their MC. So every deal is always under their MC.
So there is a contract with you, but there's no limits on, hey, you need to pull one load a week, or
no, none of that,
a week, or work with us for 6 months or whatever. They can say, Vitaly, what do you got out of Salt Lake to, what do you got going on? And then they can get over to Denver or whatever. And then if they want to pull an Amazon load, that would be fine. And then they can call you from Southern California and say, hey, what you got going on?
To be honest,
in SoCal, right?
What you're saying there, I mean, we prefer that people avoid this, because what's happened in the past, and this is a consistent, unfortunate issue that we're running into, where folks will use us to basically pull them out of Miami, and then we'll get them to a good market. We'll spend our entire day looking for something that's halfway decent, and we'll get them above average rates, even out of Miami. We'll pull them out. We'll get them to Wisconsin, and then out of Wisconsin, they'll book themselves out, and they'll go back to Miami. And so the problem with that situation is, A, it's not fair to the dispatchers, and 2, they always, in every case, underbid. So they leave a lot of money on the table, and they're basically, a blind man can book something, on a reefer out of Wisconsin going out to Miami and get some halfway decent money. But they always leave money on the table. And so what we ask people, just say, listen, just give the dispatchers a chance. Like these guys, they're in front of computers all day long. They're dispatching multiple trucks. Most of our guys have never left us. I mean, people leave our company as far as our employees,
Right.
If either some sort of they move or they're fired, which rarely happens. I mean, they're holding on to the job because we pay them very, very well, and so they're only getting better and better. So these guys, they know. Like I explain this especially to the new guys. Say, listen, sometimes the guys will offer you a load which to you might seem underpriced, but you have to trust the guy. There's a reason why he's doing it. And give him a few weeks so you can see why they're doing this. You'll start to understand. They'll underprice a load, it seems like. They'll take you to a better market. You'll make up the difference. In fact, last week there was here's the deal. The guy ran from Pennsylvania to Wisconsin for $2.67 a mile, which seems like a bad rate. But then out of Wisconsin, they made up the difference, same amount of miles, for $4 a mile. So of course that gave him and it was an 18,000-pound load, so nothing too heavy. Here's another example. Yes, sir.
No, I was just going to say, I teach my guys this. I teach them this.
Oh, good.
I say, look,
good.
You may have to get a cheaper load to get into an area that either you want to run to or that has better rates. And then what you're going to do is at the end of the week, you're going to put all your numbers together, and you're going to see that you didn't pull for that cheaper rate, okay?
Exactly.
You had to use that cheaper rate to get someplace that would get you a good rate, and you'll make up the difference. No, I absolutely teach my guys that method.
I appreciate that so much because it's so hard to get people to understand that concept.
No, but it's hard. For some reason, it's hard to get some of the older heads to understand that, and I don't know why, because it should be easy for them to. But all
for them,
guys are they're very short-sighted, Vitaly. They're very short-sighted. They just look at what they're doing right now. But a new guy, I can teach and I can mentor a new guy and how to do that. And I've been very successful doing that. So I like the idea. Okay, so if you've got a guy running from Miami to Texas or something, is your dispatcher then looking ahead, you know, at the Dallas or the Houston market or whatever to see?
Exactly. That's the trick.
Okay. All right.
We got to know where he's going. I mean, because the thing is, how else are you going to know if you're underpricing a deal? Because, and that's where a lot of the owner ops, and they don't have to be the new guys. A lot of times these are experienced guys, and they still don't get it after 20, 30 years in business. They book stuff based on what's going to happen tomorrow, you know, but they don't look what's going to happen a day after tomorrow or next week or what's going on. Where am I going? What am I going to do when I arrive at that market? And considering the market conditions at my destination, have I underpriced the rate? You know, and that's what they're doing. So here's a really good example. Massachusetts, not a good market, generally speaking. Here and there, sometimes it can be, but generally speaking, not. They took a deal. This is a dry van going to Waukegan, Illinois. Illinois is dry van capital of USA, as you know. Now, they took this load at $160, very low rate. I even thought, like, when I was doing a video, I thought, oh, my God, why did they do that? But here's the thing. Out of Illinois, they went to Wyoming for $408 a mile. So they ran for $160 there for 939 miles, but then for 1,276 miles, they ran for $408. And that $160 run was only 1,500 pound load, so super light, super light. And here's the kicker: they ended up grossing 17.3 for the week, and got a 319 per mile average, and a regular dry van.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, it still worked out. It still worked out really, really well, and they can do the same thing. But a lot of times, what happens is they just, oh no, I'm not going to take that. But the guys who've been with us for a long time, we have guys who've been with us for years, and they've expanded their fleets. They've grown to medium-sized trucking companies. I mean, they started off with one truck. And the reason that they were able to do it is because they were they had that far-sighted approach to things versus that short-sighted.
You have to. Yeah, you have to. Otherwise, you're leaving money on the table. I think where the hesitation might come in is if you have a dispatcher tell you, okay, look, I want you to take this $175 load, $160 load, whatever, and we're going to be able to get you something else, you know, out of your destination. Well, that's kind of a promise, right? But he's not saying, look, I have a load for you. So I'm curious as to if a driver is on a 2 or 3 day load, if the dispatcher finds something, will he let the driver know, the owner know, like before he gets to the destination, so that he could start planning for that? Or
of course, if we can find it. See, we try not to do that because in this crazy inflated market, brokers will cut you off and will resell the same load for a few $100 less to make commission, and they don't have, you know, they don't have the cojones, if you will, to be able to just upfront tell to the driver. So they'll let the driver come in. They'll deadhead out to the pickup. They'll go out there. The driver will find out that the load has been picked up by somebody else or it was canceled or whatnot. And then what will happen? You know, because the broker will say, you know what, I'll pay this guy $150 tonneau, and then I'll look like the good guy. But realistically, he just made an extra $1,000 on it.
No, of course he did. And so I on purpose kind of put you on the spot with that question, because I wanted to see how you would handle it. And you're dead on, buddy. Loads are pulled all the time. Oh, let me ask you, if you wind up doing the extra paperwork or whatever you need to do with factoring, helping the guys factor, does your 7% change?
No, it doesn't change. I mean, are you talking about? You're talking about as far as us doing their billing? I mean, we do billing and invoicing either way.
Okay, all right.
So it doesn't matter to us. We just, you know why we do this? So I have some customers who prefer to do their own. A lot of them have, or some of them have helpers or assistants or secretaries, and they prefer to do their own billing and invoicing. That's fine. The reason that we do this is because the guys are on the road. They will forget to do stuff. The brokers will communicate with us, hey, that BOL, it's a blurred copy, that one's not good enough, this is missing or that's missing, and it allows us to fight for their detention and their layovers. I mean, because we get pretty good detention when we're able to, and that's why we tell guys, look, have your in and out times written on a BOL. So, like, don't get some sort of detention or a layover if you have no times to prove this. Communicate with us, And we'll have guys sitting at a door for 4 hours, and then they'll call us and say, nobody's loading me. Well, where are you at? Well, I'm at the door. I've been here for 4 hours. Okay, well, why not let me in, let me know so we can go ruffle some feathers. We want you moving. We don't want you to burn in here, but a lot of guys don't communicate. So we will do all those things, and we will take care of their billing and invoicing. And we will, like, you know, if there's, say they receive an updated Raycom with an extra $200 in detention or something like that, we'll update everything. We'll resend everything. They're put on all the emails. They receive everything. They know what's going on. They know their AR. They can watch their aging reports, you know, and all the money goes to them, which, by the way, they get charged a week later. So they get a whole week. So pretty much every customer has already been paid, especially the ones that have factored their loads.
All right, man. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm gonna check your YouTube channel out a little bit more.
Yeah,
and,
of course, please.
I get a good feeling from you guys, and if I want to move forward and mention your company every now and then, maybe we'll have another phone call real quick, and you kind of tell me, you know, do's and don'ts for your particular situation and company. Let me check your channel out a little bit.
Take a look, yeah, please.
And then I'll get with you. And
I mean, and if you're at all open, I've been looking to collab with some people, and I've tried to reach out to some folks out there because I want to have conversations that are helpful to the carriers, to the owner ops, to the new guys, and I want to have those conversations with people who actually know what they're talking about, because unfortunately, a lot of the channels that have a ton of subscribers, I hate it. They produce fluff, they produce useless content, and I don't really want to be associated with those guys.
No, you really don't. You know, I probably know some of the guys you're talking about. There's a couple of good ones out there, though.
There are definitely.
Yeah, and the guys with the huge subscriber numbers, you know, they're paying for those subscribers. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all of my subscribers are organic. I get about an average of 30 subscribers a day. I am constantly growing, but I don't pay for any of them. I don't have a service going out there.
Natural growth.
It is, and that's why it's to me, it's because I want to hit 100,000 subscribers, so that's 6 years away, right? So for me, it's slow, but I like it because they're real subscribers.
And I don't know if you would mind or not, but I think the questions in this phone call alone would be useful to a lot of the folks that are calling in, because I'm covering the same information over and over again. It would be so useful if I could just make some sort of maybe a short little video and put this call. Would that be okay with you?
That would be fine. Sure, of course. Okay, buddy. Sounds good. Yeah, send me your cell phone, and let's see if we take it together in the next couple of days.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Tony. Really appreciate taking a call, sir.
All right, buddy. Have a great day.
Take care. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.